Hi, everyone. It's John Galante, president of AE Ventures, back with another Builder Innovator Arc of Achievement Award honoree interview. Today, it's our pleasure to talk to Trevor Buffington, who is the owner operator of Buffington Homes in South Carolina. Trevor, welcome. We've been working together for a good long while now, and happy to dig in a little deeper on what makes Buffington Homes tick, especially on the technology front. So, for starters, why don't you give us a little bit of the origin of Buffington Homes, or maybe the origin of you as the owner operator in Buffington Homes?
Sure. Yeah, so Buffington Homes has been around since 1996. It was started by my father, so I'm the second generation owner of Buffington Homes. Um, it's kind of crazy. He came to South Carolina. He was really a student and decided to start building houses. So bought a lot on Kiowa and built the first house, and all of a sudden he was a builder. So long story of I kind of grew up in the company as the son of the boss, and started picking up cigarette butts and working and pushing a broom and doing all that stuff. Eventually, went off to school and said, "I'm never going to be a builder. That's a crazy job. I want nothing to do with it." And long story short, I eventually went to architecture school and decided that I didn't want to draw pictures. I wanted to build houses. I fell in love with construction, and I knew of this really cool custom home build company back in Keel Island, South Carolina, and so called up Dad and said, "Hey, can I move back?" And uh, you know, got it. Started working for a project manager, and low man on the totem pole, and worked my way up. 17 years later, I own the company now, and we're doing really great stuff. We're building beautiful custom homes, Kiowa Island mostly, um, homes that are loaded with technology and you know many beachfront type custom homes. So we're in a great spot.
So, what kind of square footage on the homes that you're building? What are you averaging?
It's a range. I would say the smaller homes are around 5,000 square feet. Everything up we're up to I don't know, maybe 13,000 square feet, something like that. A little bigger, but the difficulty is in our community. There's setbacks and height restrictions, and you can only get so big of a property. So we tend to max them out oftentimes. But um, yeah, so these type of homes are some tend to be a little lower tech, all the way up to we've got one that we're doing right now that keep joking more wire than the Pentagon in it. So lots of tech. So it's kind of the full gamut. It really
Tell me
depends on the
about
homeowner's needs and
Tell me about your clientele. I mean, do you have a mix of younger families and retirees, or what does that look? Do you have it profiled from a percentages standpoint?
I would say most of our clientele tend to be people who are empty nesters or soon to be empty nesters with maybe 10 years left of work, maybe a little more, maybe a little less, just depending on the person. But generally, they've got kids that are either out of the house or just in college, late high school, something like that, and they're kind of looking at the let's say the back nine of their life, and generally they at some point want to get out of Dodge, maybe still keep a home somewhere up north in the big city metropolitan areas, but or maybe just eventually move here full time. I think most people have a want to be a Kiowa, at some point
Yeah.
full time or darn near full time because our weather's amazing and the
Yeah.
golf is great and the beach is
So
awesome.
a lot of golf, beach. You
All
got
that.
low country food, and you're saying most of your clients are transplants. It's not mostly native South Carolinians that you're serving.
Every once in a while, we get a native South Carolinian or someone who was from South Carolina, went off to wherever to be successful in their career, and then are coming home to roost.
Yeah. So we're going to get to the technology you're putting in the homes, but with all of these remote uh, clientele, who are coming from elsewhere. Talk to me a little bit about how you communicate with them in the planning process. Is there a physical divide? Are they not there in person for a lot of the communications process? I'm just curious.
It is abnormal for our clients to be in town. We actually just finished a house for a couple that they live right down the street, but that is atypical. Most of our clients live anywhere here, and from Europe to Asia to New York, Chicago. I mean, it could be anywhere. So technology has become huge, and I would say that the COVID boom that everybody saw with things like Zoom and other video platforms has made such a huge difference. Now we can have on-site walkthroughs essentially with our tech. I'm now using use Matterport cameras to go around the house, get a digital footprint so that I can send it off to them and say, hey, what do you think? Or hey, we're done roughing in. It might not be the full electrical walkthrough, but they can really see where everything is, touch and feel. Um, on the planning side, being able to go through a Revit model and see which house really looks like and lives like is really helpful in avoiding things like change orders and all of that. So, and then other technology, online project management platforms. That's also huge where we can upload, you know, pictures and selection items and budget and schedule and all of that stuff. They can see it in real time. So yeah, technology is absolutely paramount to
Yeah.
um, dealing with people who are out of town. I don't know how the old timers did it before. I mean,
Yeah. So,
it's just
so
incredible.
did the adoption of those tool sets, did you just hit the knee of the curve here in the last 3, 4 years in terms of really using it, or did the capabilities just kind of start to come into focus with video conferencing technologies being kind of an underlying piece, or has it been more of a gradual march?
It's been more gradual. I mean, we've been using the construction management, online construction management software for a long time. We've always sent out like a weekly report, and we've been doing that for forever. And it used to be more conference calls and things like that, but that has changed into the Zoom. Everybody's kind of doing Zoom thing now, and that is 100% due to. I think before that maybe had maybe half a dozen Zoom calls in my whole career, and all of a sudden it's par for the course. It's every client,
Yeah.
and even on the front end, interviewing interviewing clients before we have the project, we use that a lot.
Yeah. Are your platforms on the construction management side of things, are they built to capture stuff like that and automatically feed the client, or are you guys kind of just doing that yourselves as an overlay process with your traditional?
I'm excited to see what AI will have in that department at some point. I don't. I haven't explored it to the level that I should. I think I'm probably. I think me. I might be a little bit cynical and maybe a little bit paranoid at times, and and I'm not
You're
quite
better
ready to
than average,
hand it
Trevor.
over
You're
to
better
the
than average
machine.
with your open-mindedness.
Yeah.
So you're not a crazed early adopter by any stretch of the imagination,
No.
but you're better than
I've
average.
been burnt too many times, John.
Well, let's talk about the technology that's going into these homes, right? We kind of have a good idea of the size, the setting, the clientele. What are some of your standard tech feature sets these days? And then we'll talk about the special things that might have come up.
Sure. I mean, the cool thing about being in a custom home business is there is no standard. Um, there's no base model or anything like that. So kind of really spend a decent amount of time interviewing the client and talking to them about what they've got now, what they think they want. Um, a lot of times the architect, interior designer get involved as well, and I think a lot of our clientele have gotten burned with technology over the years, and I can say I have as well. And so sometimes I get people who are completely shell shocked and they're like, I want light switches. Like, I want, basic, I want a TV that I turn on. Like, I want it to just
I
as
want to be
simple as
able to
possible.
change the channel.
Yeah, I mean, so I get that all the way to the people. Like I said, I mean, where you feel like you can, launch a moon lander from the from the office. So it's really the full gamut, and I don't think there's I don't think there's any wrong answer. I think it's really just how you want to use the home. I think that's really important. Some people who have guests who are in from out of town all the time, for example, don't want to have maybe lighting control in the bedrooms just because they want to make sure they don't have to give a tutorial to teach their guests how to use the bedroom. Um, so it's really interesting. You get all sorts of different stories from people, but as far as like the let's say the more tech savvy people, I mean it's incredible some of the functionality and things that we're doing now, everything from monitoring the way the energy is used in your house to shades, automatic shades everywhere that can open and close due to the circadian rhythms, and uh, recessed lighting that changes color throughout the day to also feed your circadian rhythms in such a way that it's more comfortable and more livable. um, the kitchen technology has just gotten out of control with everything's got an app. And one thing that's really cool that we've started using is air quality management. So now instead of the just the HVAC guy comes in, sets a unit, and it works, it runs, it heats and cools, that's it. Now we're opening and closing ventilation for high VOC levels inside the house, and monitoring the breathability of space. And I mean it's absolutely incredible.
Is that something that your clientele want to actually see and monitor in a detailed way? Or is it like a problem they want you to take care of for them and keep it out of their face? I'm just curious. Maybe you have a range.
It's specific, yeah. It's really just it's really some people, a lot of people are thinking about I think thinking more about things like air quality and aging in place is another thing. So as you get older, that becomes more important. Now people are suffering with things like sleep apnea and allergies and things like that. That um, it's really, once again, very client specific. Some people say, no, I just want it to be cold, cold as needed. But some people, they really care about that.
Yeah. So so aging in place, home health technology in terms of like actual diagnostic and monitoring technologies, is that part of the portfolio, or are you planning for that at later stages for some of your clientele? And then my other question is like, how do we make this stuff, because your homes are so gorgeous, they're really beautiful and you take great pictures of them, but like most assistive living technology looks like it's out of a hospital room from an industrial design perspective. So I don't know, are you like concealing that stuff, or is that your, I don't know whether you've installed much of this, but how do we make that stuff look elegant is one of the things that I think, from an industry perspective, we need to be working on.
I think it's it's true. I mean, depending on how far you take it, sometimes it's not that pretty. And let's say grab bars inside of the shower. Maybe you can find a more attractive, grab bar than the one that you see in the public restroom. But still, it's kind of takes away from that beautiful marble slab that you've got in there. But if that's important to you, sometimes we just put the blocking in and know where it's at, so that if that day comes, we can come back and add it. And then I think at that point, I mean, if you need it, you need it, and who cares? Who cares? Like I know if I'm, a 80-year-old guy and I need, something to grab onto in the shower, that's going to be more important to me than how pretty it is. But, I tend to be a little more practical with these things.
Yep, yep, very good. So technology kind of spec'd to the buyer's interests and needs. Talk to me about process for getting it right. So you're fulfilling on what the customer wants. It's not always easy to deliver it given the nature of the construction process, right? And availability of materials, availability of labor, all of the trade collaboration that's required on this stuff. What are some of your keys for getting it right?
First is, good integrator, good electrician. I mean, that's probably the area where we've had the most problems. It's probably less the technology and more the people putting in the technology.
Mhm. What
Doing a
makes
good
them
job
good?
with,
What makes them good for you?
well, first off, they've got to, obviously just be knowledgeable about the product itself. I think really working with the client to develop a package that suits them rather than just trying to upsell. I think it's really easy to go absolutely insane in, putting these packages together where, it's a $1 million+ package, which, maybe for some people is great. And if you're really tech savvy and you want all that stuff, I get it. But, I'll use the circadian rhythm lights. I mean, it's neat. It's sexy. I like the sound of it, but like if it's me, I'm probably not going to pay, $300 a can. I mean, it's not that important to me. So I would feel, if someone was hard selling me to install something like that, I wouldn't feel so good about that situation. Now, for other people, that's important to them, and they're probably the same people who are putting in the air monitoring stuff, and they're probably watching the energy coming in and out of the house, and they've got filters, and that's they're organic, and that's all great. If you're into that, then more power to you. But I do struggle sometimes when I feel like sometimes people are getting oversold for something they might not necessarily feel they need, and then they get turned off from the process, and then sometimes we got to go shop for a different integrator or something along those lines, or the number just gets so astronomical that it frustrates the homeowner. So I think sensitive, someone who's sensitive to the client rather than just trying to, a bunch of cool stuff, that's really important. And then having the staff, having the employees who the technicians who can really operate and wire properly. Like I said, having a really good electrician is so important. Because those two parties really have to work together. They can't be at all. They need to be
So
a team.
how do that
Um,
collaboration piece? How do you find that capability or capacity within those two types of contractors, and how do you nurture it and make sure it happens? Because sometimes there's natural things that are at odds about, right? So that's one of the tricks of the trade, right? Is of the trades.
they're playing the sandbox, the same sandbox. It's got to happen, and I think that's just with experience, making sure these guys have worked together in the past and that they have a good working relationship. If not, then you need to. I think it's absolutely paramount to make sure that you find that collaboration, because if they're at odds, it's going to make the whole project a mess.
Yeah. So let's talk about some specific technologies I want to get your take on. First of all, just robust networks, right? So this is not the thing that the client sees, but is that becoming a pretty substantial, almost always included feature for your homes? And I'm talking about hardwired nodes for things like video conferencing to at least a few locations, commercial grade Wi-Fi where there's handoffs between wireless access points based on signal strength, so that the best connections are made, that there's outdoor accommodated, that you even look at your uh, incoming Wi-Fi speeds and work with whoever the service provider is to get to the kind of inbound speed that you think the clients are going to want? Is that becoming like an almost all the time thing that you're doing some work on, or your integrators doing work on?
Yeah, I would say that's pretty much, if we could say standard. I mean, most everybody wants a really strong Wi-Fi system, and especially now the way you know so many people are just using their smart TVs, right? They're not even using cable or anything like that. They're just relying on these devices. Obviously, everybody got an iPad, iPhone, whatever, Apple Watch, and all the various other tech they want to use while they're sitting by the pool or out, you know, on the deck or where in the garage or wherever they are.
Yeah. And you've got these clients that are on, you said Final Nine because you're a golfer. They're kind of on, they're a little bit on cruise control, but they're still working. They're in their last 5, 10 years of work. I mean, is the work from home component and accommodating that technologically a critical feature in many, many cases?
Yeah, work from home or work from vacation. A lot of times these, or they kind of start off as vacation homes, but yeah, almost every house there's at least one office. Sometimes there's, kind of his and her offices. Actually, a lot of times there's his and her offices, and then or like a second floor office space that has multiple desks for when their older kids are in town. So that's definitely become
And are
a
you
thing.
doing special design work around that so that it's kind of got the right privacy within the overall home space? And also, even thinking through things like what is the furniture going to be and where's that going to go and where is it going to go relative to windows, right? Like you kind of want these windows to look out through when you're contemplating, but you don't necessarily want to get hot outside light on your face while you're video conferencing. I mean, are you guys, and you're an architect by training, are you guys getting into those sorts of design detail considerations on home office?
Usually in the, let's say, the main office, they want a good background, right? It's gonna be a bookshelf or something along those lines. That's pretty typical.
Carrots,
There's
right? They usually want carrots, in my experience.
a
So,
right.
yeah,
The carrots, yeah. Was that Jerry Maguire?
Jerry Maguire and carrots. I mean, that's a big item in demand. Anyway, yeah, so that's actually an item of discussion, right? What is my background in my home office? You've got a nice
Yeah,
background. We talked about other
yeah.
backgrounds that aren't necessarily designed by a custom builder, but that's interesting that it's made its way into the kind of conversation, the specification flow. Yeah.
Well, if you think about it, this guy's CEO of some big company or something along those lines. He's got to do this sort of video conferencing all the time, even when he's away. So yeah, he's got to look good at his Kiawah Beach house. While he's got his blazer on, nice tie, whatever, and his boxers.
So what about family? Maybe they're leaving behind family, or family already left them behind. I mean, are they thinking about the video conferencing technology and backdrop outside of the office setting? Like, is this something that makes its way into the great room with the AV stack there?
I haven't seen anything like that. You know, u- usually most of the homes got a pretty good background in general, so you could probably video conference just about anywhere in most of our
Yeah,
homes. I'm quite
yeah,
envious in that department.
yeah. What do you see coming on the tech front in your homes? Is there what are you watching? What do you think might
What is the next big thing?
be a bullet?
I don't know. I guess I got to go to TecHome to see. Um, I'm trying to think of what
What are
what the
you
next.
have your eye on AI?
I have not done a whole lot with AI in the home space yet. I mean, even it's interesting. Like at my home, my wife uses Alexa a lot, I find most of our clients don't really want that. And I know there's Josh AI out there, and I have not seen that used very much in most of our homes.
What would be your wise words for other custom builders who want to create a point of differentiation for themselves with home technology? Do you have any some guidance for them, key principles, maybe stuff that works for you that you think they should really carry with them?
I'd say, like I said before, find a good team. I mean, that's probably numero uno. You really got to have the right people in place to do it because the technology can be just like anything else in construction, right? It's all about how it's the method, how it's all put together. And if you have a bad team or a team that's not working together, it's never going to work well, and you're going to have an unhappy client. But if you do have a good team, I think that's everything.
Yeah, and I'm going to go back to me. One of your differentiators is just how gorgeous your homes are. How do you get aesthetic installation of technology? How are you making that happen? Because you obviously are, based on the pics that I see of your properties.
Well, they keep coming out with better stuff. I mean, that's part of it. Small aperture speakers that look just like the can lights, the flush mount, can lights, the hidden, hidden speakers in the walls. It's just it keeps getting slicker. So I think that's probably the most important thing is finding a way to put this tech in and bury it. The other day, I just looked at the brand new floor heat that we just installed, a little floor heat keypad. It's like mirror finish. I mean, it's really sexy, and that's I'd never seen that before. I guess it's been out for a little bit, but just something like that. It's just the keypads and stuff are so much cleaner. So I think they're making it easy on us when this new technology is coming out.
So it's better shopping to find that stuff that looks great, that has nice industrial
That's
design.
for and budgets because
Yeah.
usually those two come hand in hand.
Very good. Well, Trevor, thank you so much for sharing some of your insights and experience today on this interview, and for being a fellow who's willing to share at conferences and on interviews like this. It is helpful to the rest of the industry to hear from leaders like yourself. Keep on innovating and keep on sharing. We really appreciate you.